Moving forward, our training tapes are going to be culled together with tape from former arena football games, whatever I can locate with my internet sources. But a lot of these older leagues didn't have the rules we have, but we're going to use the plays to take a look at some of the concepts. Now, one of the concepts this coming season is daylight. Returning United States officials didn't have to worry about daylight except for those defensive ends being outside shoulder to shoulder. But now we have daylight to worry about with the fullback and the two linebackers. So this training tape is going to deal with our philosophies on daylight, how we're going to enforce it, and the rules. So let's take a look. Here we go, discussing the rule first. So before we get into daylight, we have to understand the rule about the second neutral zone. And I cut and pasted from the rule book. And the second neutral zone is defined on both the offensive and defensive side of the line of scrimmage as the plane extending parallel to the line of scrimmage at the depth of the deepest portion of the offensive or defensive down lineman's body. And if either the linebacker or the fullback have any portion of their body break in this plane, an illegal formation foul occurs. Now, that is the rule, okay? It says the deepest portion of the offensive or defensive down lineman's body. Well, that would be technically their foot, but by philosophy, we're going to say head to butt. So let's take a look at the philosophy. So by philosophy, the deepest portion of the body is the offensive or defensive down lineman's butt, not the foot. So we have the rule, but how we're going to enforce it is with our philosophy, and it's going to be easy to determine head to butt and if there's daylight in between. That is how we're going to call it. If either the linebacker or the fullback have any portion of their body breaking the plane of the butt, an illegal formation foul occurs. And that any portion of their body is basically going to be the head. And we're going to use this philosophy of daylight in determining whether or not a foul has occurred. The wings are primary on the call with the linebackers and the fullback. But we do use the term daylight on the offensive side and the defensive side. The two wings should be able to look through a tunnel prior to the snap and see daylight between the lineman and the fullback or the lineman and the linebackers. And of course, this makes no sense until we see it on tape. So let's take a look at the tape. Here we go. So let's talk about daylight first with the on the defensive side. Remember, his helmet and the butts, right? Is there daylight? We can't tell from this camera parallax. It's pretty close, but in this situation, especially early in the game, a warning will suffice. And when we warn the player, we also let the coach know, hey, I warned number 11. He's getting in there a little too close. Remember, a couple warnings is fine. When they don't comply, we're going to talk with the flag. Now, who's got the defense? We're going to have the head linesman will be responsible for the backer, and the line judge will be responsible for the fullback. Now, let's look at the fullback. Daylight, right? Is his head breaking the butts of any of these linemen? It's not even close. So that's a legal formation. But mechanically, head linesman, you've got the defense. Line judge, you've got the fullback. Warn early, unless egregious, in which case we'll flag it. Now, just because we got some good mechanics here at the end of the play, look, an over-the-wall catch. Our back judge gets over there. He climbs the wall, making sure players got control on the other side of the wall. Good work. Let's look at it one more time. Back judges and wings, you're going to be doing this a lot. Look at it. Coming over, jumping, propping yourself up, making sure you get a good look that number 4 has possession of that ball over the wall. Good mechanics by the back judge here. So what do we mean by what a foul would be? Let's look in here. Do we have daylight? Nope. The helmet's clearly breaking the plane of the butt. That is not close at all, and we'd want this flag even on the first play of the game. This is egregious. This is a foul. Wing officials, you got to stay on top of this the entire game because these players are going to look for every advantage they can get. And look at the advantage he gets here. He's about, a foot early. He gets a nice start putting pressure on that quarterback. So you can see how these players will try to get the advantage. but this is a foul that we want to call. There is no daylight here. It's a live ball foul, but we want this called. This is not a warning. See the difference between this play and the prior play. If it's close, let's talk. But once we get into the game and we've talked to the players, just start throwing flags, and that will correct the problem. And if it doesn't, the coach is going to correct it when his team keeps getting penalized. Now, here's another play. Do we have daylight here? Even from this camera parallax, we do not. I get it. This could be a warning early. It's not that egregious. So early, I think we could put a warning on him saying, hey, we're watching you, and tell the coach, hey, I warned number 58. That's his last warning. And if he does it again, throw the flag. We will gain compliance with the daylight rules by throwing flags. Now, let's look to the other side of the field. How about our back here? Is there daylight? There certainly is. Remember, this guy's the quarterback. So what we're looking at for daylight is the butt, right? The butt. Is his head breaking the butts of the linemen? No. It's close. We just want to talk to him. But on this side of the ball, I get it. That's close. We could warn early, but make sure you put the warning on him. Let the coach know you warned him, and then start talking with flags. We will get compliance with daylight early in the season. Now, on this play, this is what we want. Do we have daylight? Clearly, the back is good. The backer is good. This backer is clearly good. This is what we want to see. And again, we're going to warn early, but if we don't gain compliance, we will start flagging daylight. Eventually, the players will get the idea. But here, everybody's legal. Good job by the players. This is what we want to see during the season. Now, when we're thinking about daylight and we're down near the goal line, we have to be on high alert, because that is when the players are going to seek the advantage. They want to get up there as close as they can and run support. So be especially cautious. Now, I don't know what the rules were in this league. This tape is over 10 years old, this video, and we can see that the wing officials are not checking for this. I don't know if that's not the rule. I think it is. But the mechanics, I don't even think they had a mechanics manual. At least when I worked in this league, they didn't. But down near the goal line, everything is heightened. We have to be really, really on high alert. But here, he's legal, and this guy certainly is legal. Just a reminder, down near the goal line, you got to be extra laser focused on the daylight call. Now, as we further our learning, we're going to look a little bit at some formations, defensive and offensive, and we'll mix some daylight in between. So let's take a look. On this play, let's stop it and talk about the formation, okay? We know the defense needs to have 3 down linemen, 1, 2, 3. What are their requirements? The nose has to be head up. That's head to head. The ends have to be shading the shoulder, either the inside or outside shoulder. If they're wider than outside shoulder to inside shoulder and there's no daylight, that is a formation foul. Our linebackers, we need to have 2 in the box, right? 2 in the defensive box, which is outside shoulder, 5 yards, right? So we need to have 2. We've got 1 here and 1 there. One must declare if he intends on blitzing. The other one doesn't have to. And our backer here can patrol sideline to sideline, but he can't go beyond 5 yards until the ball has left the alley or RPO or a pass, etc. As long as that ball's in the alley, he can't go deeper than 5 yards. We're going to identify him with an armband, and you can read the philosophy manual about that. But basic formations on the defense. Nose has to be head to head. The 2 ends can shade shoulder to shoulder, either inside or outside. They will try to get that advantage by lining up way outside, and the back judge needs to check that every play if he can. And remember, we have 1 motion receiver, and we know our rule that we're going to allow 1 yard of gray space, meaning he can be a yard beyond the line of scrimmage before we shut it down as a false start. Now, on the offensive side, 2 in the box, we've got our quarterback and we've got our fullback. They both have to be stationary inside the box, and by position, quarterback's under center, so he's fine. The fullback has to be aligned inside the inside shoulders of the guard, right? So he can't be outside. He can't be behind him. He's got to be inside the inside shoulders of the guard. And, of course, daylight. Do we have daylight here? Looks like we do, right? Quarterback doesn't need daylight. Here, we don't have a good parallax to see if we have daylight here, but I'll tell you what, he needs a talking to early in the game because he is creeping up. Now, here's the same play, the end zone shot. What do we mean about the defensive lineman and shoulder to shoulder? So let's look in here. Is there daylight between his inside shoulder and his outside shoulder? There's daylight. This is a foul, okay? Here, it's probably too close to call, but what does this tell us? We have got to talk to these defensive ends early in the game and get them lined up correctly, because what's going to happen? These defensive ends want to take advantage, and they're going to take whatever we give them, because the further they start outside, the bigger advantage they have. So they're going to keep creeping all game. Back judges, you need to be all over this. Now, early in the game, that's a warning. That's a warning. I get it. We're only going to flag egregious fouls. If it's egregious, we got to call it. But here, if it's early in the game, this is just a warning, a talk to. But we have to keep these guys shoulder to shoulder. Referee, you can take a peek in there. Our umpire is going to be in the offensive backfield. He can take a peek in there also. And as we saw on earlier training tapes, our back judge needs to check this pre-snap. He just can't go to position and ignore this. He just can't do that. He's going to be going back and forth, checking the splits. But moving forward, we will have these defensive ends lined up legally early in the season. If they keep cheating to the outside, we will speak with a flag until we get control of the situation. The coaches need to understand this. We're going to flag this. Ignore that thing. That was on the tape I inherited. But anyway, we're going to flag this stuff until we get compliance. Sure, on this play, if it's early in this game, we're going to warn. But if it continues, we're going to speak with a flag. Coaches and players better understand this, because as officials, we do understand it, and we will enforce the rules properly. Now, let's watch this play. Do we have daylight here? Probably. Definitely there. Looks like we got daylight there. And let's watch the play run, and then we're going to go to the end zone shot. We're going to talk about the back judge mechanics and what he needs to see. So here we got a touchdown, but let's go forward to the end zone shot. Now, I want you to ignore this telestration. I'm stuck with it from the video I took. But what we want to do is we can see where our back judge is. He's threatened over here, right? He's got the motion receiver coming across. That's his key. He's got two players to shift his zone. So what we've always said with preventive officiating is don't preventive officiate if it's going to get you out of position. So on this particular play, we can't have our back judge over here checking splits when he's got a lot of threats coming at him over here. We get it. So this is a play where he's not going to get over there. But if we had a formation, if this formation was in the middle of the field and it was kind of double, single formation, pretty evenly split, our back judge could easily check daylight here, check daylight there, and then get into position. So that's what we want the back judges to do. But a position like this, with a formation on one side of the field and all these threats coming at him, we're not going to be able to do too much preventive officiating. We appreciate our referee and our umpire is going to be back here taking a look at this. These defensive ends here are legal, but the purpose of this video is just to show you that, yes, do we want preventive officiating? Back judge, do we want you looking at that? We do. But in a situation like this, when you're threatened with all these receivers, you're just simply not going to be able to preventive officiate as best you can. And we do not want to take preventive officiating out, take you out of your position to officiate the play. So just keep that in mind. We get it. We understand. Here, the defensive ends were legal. But you saw the prior tapes on the back judge and how they're going to look at this. Couple of things on this play. First, our defensive end looks a little wide here, but he's probably legal. And remember, our back judge, as we said, you're going to be checking this pre-snap. He's probably legal. But again, he's going to keep trying all game to creep outside to get that advantage, so we're just going to stay on top of it. He's certainly legal. Our fullback is certainly legal. There's daylight, so we're good there. And there's daylight in here between the backers, so we're good there. And that's going to throw another ad to you. In the IAL, if this backer wants to blitz, he's got to declare by raising his hand. If he doesn't, he can't blitz. He doesn't have to raise his hand, but if he wants to blitz, he must raise his hand. And remember, where's his blitzing path? He must blitz between the inside shoulders of the guards, okay? He can't blitz outside until the ball leaves the alley. Of course, any ball that hits the ground on the snap, all blitz restrictions end, all twist restrictions end, and we're only calling twists if they twist right at the snap, okay? If we have delayed twists, that's not a foul. But remember, he wants to blitz, he's got to declare by raising his hand. I don't like the rule. He's a blitzer by position, but the coaches wanted declarations, so we're going to have declarations. So on this play, we would have probably not an illegal blitz. I just looked at it. We're snapped here, right? Does he blitz? Does he cross the yard line? No, the ball's gone, so we're not going to call that. But if he penetrated and this quarterback was back there in the pocket, we would have an illegal blitz. So he doesn't have to declare here because this is not a blitz that we would want called. And again, our ends are legal, our fullback's legal, he's legal. Just know that if he wants to blitz, he's got to raise his arm up by declaration, and he's got to blitz inside the inside shoulders of the offensive guards. And let's look at a legal play. Man, this one looks really good. Everyone is in good position. Our backer's legal. There's daylight. Our fullback has daylight. It's excellent. If he wants to blitz, he's got to declare. And remember, we haven't even talked about the tight ends. If this guy wants to go out on a pass, he better declare by holding that arm up for 3 seconds, right? So we got to be aware of that. That's in the philosophy manual, how we're going to work that. But everything looks good here formation-wise. That's what we want to see. There's daylight. Everyone's legal. Superb. And that was a brief review of formations and daylights and the rules. And again, we don't have any video to go on. We don't have a library built up, so we're going to do the best we can in the preseason. Once the season starts, believe me, we're going to have a ton of video to look at every week. So that being said, I'm going to throw a couple more plays in here just because I have them. They don't necessarily deal with the formations or the blitzing or the daylight or anything like that, but they're just basic concepts that we need to understand. Let's take a look. On this play, I want you to watch the mechanics by the wing at the top of the screen. Again, the newer official's like, hey, where am I going to go when the play is coming at me? Well, watch this official. It's coming at him. Just calmly step into the backfield, right? And then pick up wall responsibility as we've seen on other tapes. When the wash is coming at you, you want to be safe. And this is how you be safe. You just retreat and pick up wall responsibility all the way down the field. Excellent job here by the wing. It's coming at me. Simply step into the backfield, turn, and pick up wall responsibility. Great work. That's how you do it. Now, here's an interesting concept. This is the middle of the game, and there is a 15-yard banked penalty against the receiving team. So that's when you got to expect the onside kick, because if the receiving team, let's say they recover the ball, down here, okay, that's great. They're backing up 15 yards, so field position isn't going to, be that big of a deal. So expect the onside kick in situations when there's a bank penalty against the receiving team, as there was here. But let's watch the play here. It's an onside kick. And what is the takeaway from this play? It looks like the kicking team has the ball, right? Because the player is going to come out of the pile with the ball. Why are they signaling that the receiving team has the ball? Because we never award the ball to the winner of the wrestling match at the bottom of the pile, right? That's a basic football 101 concept that we all know at the higher levels. High school level, we may not know this, right? We're going to, the receiving team came out of the pile with the ball. We're going to give them the ball, right? But what does our official number 10 see here? He's focused. Let's look. We've got the big boy there recovering the football. He goes down. He loses it. But now he's going to grab it in, and he has control of the ball on the ground. And we have an offside official from over here looking in there, and he sees possession by the receiving team on the ground and down. So he knows it is ours ball, right? Now the wrestling match commences, but we do not award the ball to the winner of the wrestling match. See, he comes out. He's all happy. I've got the ball. But what did number 10, our officials, see? Big boy fighting for the ball. Still doesn't have control. Almost has control. Then he grabs it, and he has possession of that ball on the ground. He is down. End of story. Experienced officials know this. We're going to know this too. Excellent job by the crew here. And that's a wrap on this video. Officials, just be advised, you better be into the tape, better be into the books and all the materials, because there is going to be an exam prior to the season start. We hope to have it out by the first week of April. It's going to be 2 hours long. It's going to be taken online. It's going to be an individual effort. But be prepared to take it. You got to pass it if you want to work. It's not going to be hard. We don't test to trick you. We test on the materials we gave you. And if you're going to work in this league, you're going to know the rules and you're going to know the mechanics. Mistakes we understand are going to be made, but they will be corrected. And if they're not corrected and they continue, you no longer will work in the league. We will be hard on you in that regard. Again, we do understand. Mistakes will be made. It's a new league. We're learning the rules. We're learning the mechanics. They just can't be repeated. And when we see them on tape, we should really learn from them. So just remember, you're going to have an exam in a couple weeks before the season starts. And we'll try to keep getting a few tapes out as best I can, again, with limited archived video that I have. But keep working hard. I know some of you out there are really working hard with your weekly meetings. And we appreciate it, and it is noticed. I'll talk to you on the next one.